Hello everyone, this is Dunk, and welcome to the video for part 1 of the nature update of Terraform Plus. Be quiet, Cal. I'm talking right now. So there is a lot to talk about and a lot to show in this update. It may not look like it right now, as we have a low render distance. And, yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Hang on a second. Oops, just gonna generate some terrain quickly. So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about here. If you've been keeping up with the last update of Terraform, you probably saw that some of the trees have been getting getting the branch treatment. They've been spawning less than a full block. That is true for all trees now. All trees have had their generation updated. In a little bit, we're going to go take a look at what that is like in different areas around the map. In a previous release, we saw that there are regions that have been added. So you can see here when I'm in debug mode, it announces that we're in the Asian region, we're in Asia. And that will affect the types of trees and later in part 2, the types of animals that will spawn around the world. So there are a number of new additions to this update. So there are a number of new trees that were added. We can actually look at that right now. So up until this point, I believe we had acacia. I added palm a few updates ago. Ebony existed but was not generating. But now we also have fever trees. Fever trees will grow in Africa. We have baobabs, which also grow in Africa. We have limba, which is the new African jungle tree. We have mahogany, which will, I believe, grow in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. We have teak, which just grows in Asia. We have ginkgo, which also grows in Asia. We have fruitwood. Fruitwood is quite important because it is fruitwood is the material that fruit trees are going to grow with now. So if you chop down a fruit tree, you will get lumber from it. And there is one more that is not showing up here because it is bamboo, which we can see right here, and it's not called bamboo log, it's just called bamboo. So you can see, we have all the different items you can make out of it. Unfortunately for bamboo, a few of these aren't really obtainable. Like, you can't get large bamboo logs or chopped bamboo naturally. It just won't ever generate that way. Only able to get these. However, if you really need it for some sort of project, you can go into creative mode and grab them out of there. And that's just because, you're not going to get bamboo that's a meter across. That's kind of insane. And then you can see, we've got the sapling up there. Alright, so those are the new types of trees. We will look at a few examples of what those look like. I've also, as I mentioned, updated the generation of the old trees. So, that's not just the simple ones like the, like the maples and the stuff, Also have Douglas firs been updated, sequoias have been updated. Jungles have been updated quite a bit, so we'll see what all that looks like in a bit. What else can we talk about here? So we'll just get this out of the way. So it says Asia there. Without debug mode, though, there are not many ways that you can tell what region you're in. There is the trick where when you're making a hat, a straw hat, if you're in the Asian region, you'll get this straw hat. If you're in any other region, you'll get that straw hat. They're identical in stats in any way. It's just that's what you get. So that is one way you can tell what region you're in. However, I've also added that if you have a compass, the recipe is the same as in vanilla, apart from using TFC materials. So redstone from cinnabar and 4 wrought iron ingots. You get this compass, and when you're holding the compass, it will tell you what region you are in. So that is something to keep in mind. So now that we've talked about that, let's look at, maybe the elephant in the room. Let's talk about fruit trees. So I've added a few new types of fruit tree, along with updating how fruit trees work. And this is the most recent addition. This is the date palm. They will generate like this. This one is not quite full grown, so it's not going to produce any dates yet. I think it looks quite nice. See, it is made out of fruit wood. When it gets a little taller, it'll when it's going to start to produce fruit, it'll grow some like green dates that'll hang off the side, and they'll turn red when they're mature, and you can harvest them and just wait till next year for them to grow back. There's another one over there. And so date palms tend to grow in the drier areas around the world. So that is something, of course, we're in Asia, and that is one of the areas that date palms are allowed to grow in TFC. They are able to grow in Europe, Africa, and Asian regions, not in North America, though. So that is that. Let's talk about, you may have noticed that when I was mousing over these items, we saw reach short. So we can talk about what that means. So this was a kind of a hidden feature that wasn't really working properly in previous versions of Terraformacraft, but it is now something that does work, and that is that we have reach implemented into the game. In fact, we can go back and talk to our friend the cow to get an idea of what that looks like. So this modifies the distance at which you can hit something. So items like javelins, scythes, I believe the shovel, they have a long reach, the sword and the mace have a medium reach, and everything else, including your open fist, has a short reach. So you can see if we look at the cow, I'm not getting this Wayla pop-up that tells me what I'm looking at. In fact, I have to get quite close before I can actually see the cow. Alright, so if I'm like back here, can't see the cow, but if I hold the spear, I can. In fact, I can see the cow from way back here. So this, yeah, I can stab that. Okay, with using a red steel javelin, I can stab the cow from quite a distance back that I could not do otherwise. And so you may find that reach weapons are a lot more useful now. You may have also noticed we got a ton of beef off of that. So there has been a change to how butchering works, where previously it was like your butchering skill was multiplied on the yield, like the drop of the meat off of an animal, and that was, you know, pretty bad. Because if you have 0% butchery, you've basically got like 0% of the meat, or something like a 1%. So I've changed it so that the baseline is 50% of the meat, so you do get a lot more meat off of animals. We'll see how balanced that ends up feeling. You guys want to give me some feedback, let me know. In addition to that, let's look at, I don't have any sticks. Let's grab some sticks, because I want to talk about knives for a sec, because there is an update to knives. Let's grab a knife. Man, you know what? Okay, well, we'll go into survival mode and start immediately being in a bad place. Look at this knife. Let's go back here. Okay, so knives. They do, well, yeah, it says slashing damage. So that is something that was not previously true. They used to do piercing damage. And you also notice that we have a little symbol there next to the hotbar, and that is our mode button. So you can see we're actually now switched it, and it is now a piercing weapon once again. And it somehow says it's reached twice, so that will have to be fixed. Oh, hang on, I can't seem to drink this water. Okay, well, we'll figure why that's not working in a bit. Anyway, so we have the... Hang on, it's not going to be... Anyway, it doesn't matter. We have this knife. We can actually go into the third person and see that we hold it like this. And we're in that mode, and like that, in the slashing mode, so stabbing, slashing. And it's kind of cool. Oh man. Let's go back into debug mode for a sec. Because, and we'll grab some water out of this jug, because I'm not enjoying this slowness debuff that we're getting off of here. That's going to go nighttime. Let's not have that happen. So, in addition to that, let's see what else we have. Let's actually grab a few logs here. We'll go back into survival mode, and we'll talk about we'll talk about a new recipe, with a couple new recipes we have actually. So, if we do this, we get a new item that's kind of weird looking. This is a pole. So you can cut logs into poles. You can also do this with chopped logs. A pole can be crafted into 2 sticks, if you like, though that's kind of a waste of a pole, in my opinion. We can also, if we, well, actually, you know what? Is there a boulder around here? There is a boulder, way off in the distance. You know what? Let's just just fly over there quickly. We can take a look at what happens when we get a... Just try and get a needle out of this. Oh. Come on. Oh, there it goes. And we got a needle. Awesome. Alright, so if we take a pole and a needle and some... Oh, is it the other way around? What's the recipe for this again? Oh, does it not work with sinew? Maybe it has to be real string. We'll figure it out. This is what you get for doing it live. I'll get back to that. Where's my knife right here? But let's talk about what happens if we put our pole in the crafting grid with a knife. We can actually get a wooden spear. So you can see reach far. You know, it's kind of like a weak javelin. In fact, it's essentially just a weaker version of the stone javelin. Later in the, I think in the blacksmithing update, this may become more useful, and I think I will add some more recipes that involve the wooden spear, like as a stake or something, so it's not going to be just a weapon. So we'll see where that goes. But if we add some string or sinew, we can actually get this unstrung bow. And if we add, so you can see the sinew is kind of like, or the string's wrapped around the little handle bit there, and if we add another string, we can get a proper bow. So the bow is craftable now without a crafting grid. So that is interesting to take note of. Let's talk about... Actually, I want to get another pole quickly. And I want to jump into creative mode, and I want to get some leather. I want to get a leather strap, and let's go back. So another crafting recipe we have going on here is this. So we can actually get a wooden staff. And let's talk about what that means, and let's talk about some rendering changes. So if we hold the spear, you can actually see that the spear will hold in your hand. It'll look big. You can hold it like that. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this overlay there. If you walk with it, you hold it like this. You throw it, you hold it like that. You know, so I think that's pretty cool. We have that with the staff as well, so you can see you do walk with the staff. Not you don't sprint with it though. You do kind of turn it sideways when you sprint. You know, you block with it. You can attack with it. The staff, while you are holding the staff, I don't know if we can see this quickly. Maybe it's more obvious in first-person mode. But your movement is actually, while walking, 10% faster while holding a staff compared to normal. Your sprinting speed is the same. Because you're not really using the staff to support yourself. It's not really functioning like a walking stick when you're running. But when you are regularly walking, you do get a 10% movement speed bonus when you're holding the staff. The staff is not a very strong weapon, 110 damage. It's crushing. It has far reach. But it does not have very much health. It doesn't have much damage before it'll break. So not the best weapon for attacking. I mean, it'll work in a pinch, but... mostly it's kind of, you should just be used for getting that little speed buff. Or if you just want to hold the staff or whatever. I don't know, whatever floats your boat. So we have that. What else? What else? Alright, so what have we covered? We've covered the knives, we've covered some of the new crafting stuff with the poles. Let's talk about... Oh my goodness. Are there a few other items that I've added? Watch this. Look at this. So unprepared. But I am actually going camping for a week with no cell reception at 9 a.m. tomorrow. It is currently nearly 9 p.m. Here. So I'm really kind of rushed for time here. I don't want to, you know, when this mod is basically ready to go, I don't want to I don't want to wait a week. Or have you guys wait a week while I'm, not able to do anything. So I'm going to release the mod. There will probably be some problems with it. And I won't be around to fix them. But, if things are really, really terrible, you can just play the old version. And hopefully you guys will have compiled a huge list of all the bugs that I need to fix when I get back. So I'll be looking forward to that when I get back from my trip. Let's quickly take a look at... some items that don't have textures because they're not obtainable. Let's look at, there's probably, silly Silly thing. Oh man, did I? Yeah, I must have added. Yeah, I must have added. Yeah, casting properly. We've talked about that in previous updates. All of the instruments. I'm sure there's been a few bug fixes. Okay, yeah, let's talk about crops, because so we talked about new fruit trees. There is another new fruit tree other than the date palm. We have papayas. So those are a thing that exists now. We have a couple new crops that are coming out with here. We have, let's look at, we have black-eyed peas. That is a new crop. It only spawns in the African region. Okay, stop doing that. Only spawns in the African region. It's a vegetable. I kind of just wanted to fill out, because I felt like Africa didn't have a ton of crops that would spawn there, so I just wanted to add this. It looks very similar to green beans when you're growing it, although it's a slightly yellower color. We also have grapes now, so grapes are something that you can grow. Grapes are actually a little interesting when you're working with them. In fact, let's actually take a look at that right now. So let's grab a ladder. I showed this off in a little preview video, but I'm sure not everyone watches those, so let's just make sure that we do this properly. So we till the ground, we have the grape, and it'll actually take a ladder out of your inventory when you plant it in order for the grapes to grow up the side of the ladder. So when you find it wild, it will look different than it will when you're growing it, but you do need that ladder in order to grow it, and if you decided to harvest this later, you would get the ladder back. It will take a long time for grapes to grow, though. It'll actually take longer than a year. They are more resistant to freezing than other crops are, but if they do freeze, you will have to start over. However, once they reach maturity and you harvest them, you will get a bunch of grapes, a ton of grapes off of it, and it'll go dormant. And if you let it sit there, then after just under another year, it'll be ready to harvest again. So that is something to keep in mind, that even though it does take quite a while, like maybe a year and a half or so for it to initially grow, once it has grown, it is quite a bit faster to keep getting grapes off of it. Along with grapes, we have wine that's been added. Berry wine was added quite a while ago. There's a bunch of berries that you can use to make that. We also have true wine now, so that is a new alcoholic beverage you can make with grapes. What else can we talk about? Because I know that there's obviously a bunch of trees and other types of things that we're going to talk about. Because there are some changes to how forests look and how forests generate. In fact, if we look at, let's see, that's south. This is where we're going to get more rainfall. Rainfall is pretty low right here. But if we go a bit farther south, we should probably just fly. We might run into forest, and if we do, oh no, there's going to be the end of the world. So looks like we're going to have to go to a different world that I've already generated and take a look at what that looks like. I'm not going to bother with trying to edit this video, so we're just going to do this all in one take. Good luck with that, guys. So let's actually quit to the title. We can look at some of the worlds I've prepared here. Let's go to this one called Asian Jungle. Oh, and we can see what that looks like. So yeah, you can see here, I'm getting a bit of lag here because we're in the development environment. We have leaves that will spawn on the ground. You can see that very detailed. There's a lot of different colors going on here, just to kind of try and break that up. So that is something that spawns in forests. It'll also drop in the fall. All these, if it would ever get cold enough here, which it won't, all these trees would lose their leaves and they would fall to the ground and grow back in the spring. And to get these leaves on the ground, the leaves don't have a ton of use. Apart from, okay, I'm going to go to debug mode quickly because I don't want to die. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have started taking a ton of damage when I did that just now. But when we break these, there is a small chance to get a stick out of them. So that is interesting. We also have a small chance to get mushrooms, both brown and red. You are more likely to get brown, though. And there's also the chance to get a feather out of leaves. So that is something to keep in mind, that there are a few goodies that you can find just walking around and breaking the leaves that are on the ground. We have this. This is undergrowth. It's one of the types of undergrowth that can form in jungles. We have moss, which can grow up and around everywhere. You can see some growing on the trees and stuff. We have these. This is a palm type form of undergrowth. If we get an axe, we can take a look at what can happen when we start trying to chop this down. So let's use our sticks, make this axe. Oh, and so you can see we get some sticks out of that with some interesting sound effects. This here, this is actually one of the reasons I wanted to save this area. This is a banana tree, so this is what banana trees look like. I think I made a video about that, but this is one that's formed naturally. You can see the bananas are waiting to be harvested. I have some bamboo over here. This is another form of undergrowth. This is a kind of undergrowth that's more likely to spawn in temperate forests, but you can get it in jungles. So pigs. Another banana tree over here. Banana trees are actually quite a bit more common than any other type of fruit tree. So you will find them quite a bit in jungles. We have some more bamboo. They will only spawn in Asian region jungles though, so that is something to keep in mind. We have a willow tree here. I don't remember if willow trees were able to generate in the last update. Ooh, a little bit of lag. You know, we have the branches coming off these trees here. This is a hickory tree. There's a sycamore. Some bamboo again. So I think that looks quite nice. So this is what a typical jungle might look like. You can see our rainfall level in the top left there is 48,000. That's really, really high, at least in terms of the old style of TFC. We have this. This is a ginkgo tree, so that is another one of the new trees that is exclusive to Asia. I've also adjusted sort of the how likely trees are to spawn. So in certain regions, or certain types of trees will be much more common than others. That you know, that kind of changes how things go a bit. This is a plum tree, which has spawned here. Let's see if we can find any of the other new types of trees while we're hanging out here. Let's see. Oh, we have a palm tree. Those have been around for a little while. Chestnut tree. Oh, we have a fern, so that is something that you'll often find in jungles. More bamboo. Yep, there's some of that development environment lag. Let's see if we can find a... Oh, what's this? This looks... yeah, this is an ebony tree. So ebony trees can spawn in the Asian biome. Ebony actually has some really cool looking wood. I think at the end of this we may take a look at what all the new types of wood and wood planks look like. Oh, this is a cherry tree. It is not their correct season, but cherry trees, when they are in bloom, they actually look sort of in that stereotypical way that you see them on TV or whatever. So you know, maybe I think that looks quite nice. So they're kind of unique in that way, that the way that their texture changes is not really the same as the other trees. So ebony trees are actually one of the rarer types of trees. This is a teak tree. Teak trees are... Oh, stop lagging, please. Teak trees are another rare type of tree. So if you do find one, try and collect some saplings off of it, because they will not spawn naturally. So if you want to get some of that teak wood or some of that ebony wood, it would be in your best interest to try and keep track of where those trees are and maybe start farming them a little bit. Oof, let's not fall. There's a banana tree. Okay. We may switch to another world just to get... Stop this. Stop. Just to get another perspective on what some of the new generation can look like. So let's do that. Let's look at the African Savanna world. Nope. Yeah, you can see I was... okay, I guess I forgot that I had been kind of messing around with some of these trees. But we can get a look at what some of this new generation looks like. This is a baobab tree. There are two forms of baobab tree. This is the form that generates in the drier regions. We have acacias now generating oops, get away. Generating in a way that may be a little more familiar to what you see in vanilla Minecraft. This is how they generate in the African savanna areas. These wonky looking trees, which I was tearing apart, are called fever trees. They also generate in very dry regions in the African biome. So that's what this will tend to look like. Oh. And, actually, if we go, where are we here? South, I believe we'll actually hit, stop lagging, my goodness. I believe we'll hit a jungle at some point, and we might get a view of what baobabs will look like in other conditions. Because, like I said, there are two varieties of baobab. So hopefully we can get a look at what that's like. So this is kind of what I call the short fat one. It is actually a 3x3 when it generates. So that's quite a lot of wood. See, okay, this tree, this is why you shouldn't generate like that. So what's happened here is, yeah, we have this ground here. There was some dirt. The dirt fell off. Now the tree is just all alone. Go away. No one likes you. Whatever. Let's see if we can find... Oh, and here we go. Yeah, so this is what baobabs look like when they are in sort of a more jungly environment. They are much taller. They grow in a 2x2 configuration instead of 3x3. So this is kind of like a little... It's not super wet here. We can see the rainfall is 859. So this is the kind of baobabs you get here. I believe these baobabs in real life are kind of like, this is what they look like in Madagascar, whereas the other kind are more common in like the African savanna. But I thought these look kind of cool, kind of interesting looking. So that is that. Let's exit that. Let's take a look at our African rainforest we have going on here. So this is what an African rainforest will tend to look like. Most of the trees in the African rainforest will end up being the limba trees. You can see they've got vines hanging down from everywhere. We have willow. So we have these willow trees. That's the thing. I think this over here, let's not lose our lives. Apart from all this moss growing on it, this is a mahogany tree. So this is another rare tree that can spawn. As I said before, most of the trees in the African region will be limba in the rainforest. Another ebony tree here. Lots and lots of undergrowth and moss, because this area is super, super wet. The rainfall here, nearly 7,000. So quite a high rainfall here, and that results in a ton of moss growing everywhere. A ton of this undergrowth growing. Nice, lots of big trees. I have changed how boulders generate a bit, so they can have a little more variety in their shape and their size. They also will generate moss under the right conditions. So you can see this moss is just naturally growing on this boulder here. So I think, these forests look really cool now. Once I get into the second half of the nature update, which will be part 2 animals, we're going to get a lot of new and interesting things. We'll have, in the Asian region we'll have tigers and lions. In Africa we'll also have lions, and I guess Europe's also going to get lions. But in the Americas we'll have jaguars, and we'll have cougars, and we'll have different types of bears like pandas and black bears and grizzly bears and polar bears. I may add elephants. I'm going to be updating some of the farm animals into sort of wild varieties that are a little more dangerous. Maybe you don't want to get up and personal with them because they may fight back. So, we'll see how that all goes. Of course, that won't start until I get back from my trip. Oops, stop lagging. I told you this. Anyway, I think the rainforests look quite nice. Especially this little clearing here we have. Let's exit out of this world and jump into our last world here called Douglas Fir and Sequoia. So we can just get a quick look. This is what a sequoia tree looks like now. So you can see it's still got that 2x2 area. It's got a lot of branches sticking out, and it's got this sort of more tree-like shape to it. We also have spruce trees. They're generating now, along with pine. So sequoia previously only generated like this, but it now comes in two varieties, the thick version and a skinnier version. This here is a Douglas fir tree. So you may remember Douglas fir trees were always quite tall and gave a lot of wood. This is still true. Douglas fir trees don't even generate with a skinny form. They always generate as these thick trees with lots of logs. The smaller version of sequoia, which this one is not, the smaller version of sequoia will actually use the same generation as Douglas fir. So this is the basic shape that you will get if you have a sequoia generating in its smaller variety. But yeah, this is what Douglas firs end up looking like. So yeah, I think I am very happy with all of the changes that have been made in this update of Terra Firma Craft. As I said before, there will likely be many issues with this release. Minor things, I'm hoping. But if you find them, please send me a bug report. You can do that through the download page on the CurseForge, or I'll leave a link to our Discord in the description if you want to join that, and they will help you sort out how to report a bug. And when I get back from my trip, I will take a look at them. I'll answer any questions you guys have, and I'll start working on the next update, part 2. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy playing this this new version of TFC Plus, and I will see you next time. Welcome back, guys. So, turns out I forgot to talk about a couple things in that last video. So let's do that now. So, oh, this is turned into tannin. So I was actually going to show off that that was really silly of me. Okay, this one still shows the original log. 4 of our new woods, actually, well, 3 of them produce tannin. Acacia will produce tannin now. The limba tree produces tannin, mahogany will produce tannin, and the fever tree will produce tannin. There's our mahogany and our fever tree here. So there's that. There is a recipe that, oh yeah, thanks for telling me I'm overburdened. That's nice. There's a recipe that I was trying to show you earlier, but forgot does not work with sinew, and that is to make a fishing rod. So we can see that fishing rod. So it's also craftable without a crafting table now, or without getting a saw. It does have special rendering in your hand, and you can see like when you cast it, like it kind of like goes back, and then it gets flung out, and like I don't know, reel it in or whatever. And I'm going to be working a little more on that in the next in the animal update when I add more fish. But now I want to talk about fruit tree saplings, because there is a new way that you get them. Because these trees here, like this cherry tree drops wood, you will not get fruit tree saplings from harvesting the logs off of this. Instead, you have to get the actual fruit. So you have to collect enough fruit, and you need at least 40 ounces. I have 135 ounces here, and that is what I'm going to use. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your fruit, you're going to put it into a ceramic vessel just like this, with at least 2 dirt in every slot and the fruit in the center. You need at least 2 dirt. And then you're going to wait a while, like say a month. So let's do that. Let's see what happens. You can see, oh, look at this, the decay. It's going up very quickly. Wow. Oh, and then suddenly, boom. So once the decay hits 50%, the fruit will turn into a sapling. So that is how you get saplings. You have to grow them in dirt, and you can also see it's subtracted 1 from all the dirt. So you do need at least 2 dirt in each slot, because it will not work if growing the sapling would use up all of the remaining dirt. You always need to have some dirt in the pot. So you can't do it unless you have 2 dirt in each slot. It will not work. So you can have as much dirt as you want. It will always get consumed when you grow a sapling. So I do that, oop, and now I have a green apple tree sapling. So that is how that functions. And I guess the last thing I want to talk about, which I've been meaning to talk about for a little while, I am setting up a Patreon, which is something that I have been thinking about doing for a while, but people have encouraged me to do this. So I'm going to leave a link to that in the description if you want to support me. I only have a single tier at the moment, and I don't have any plans to change that. It is a $1 tier. I'm not going to offer you early access to the mod, because I don't know, I'm just not, anyone could share it around, and it's going to be full of bugs and holes and stuff. So you're never going to get any pre-releases out of it. You'll have to wait till times like right now, when you get it like everyone else. But what I will do is you will get a special flare in our Discord. I believe it's set up so that you'll get a special flare on the subreddit, reddit.com/r/TFC+. And I will be doing polls on Patreon. And sometimes I do polls on Discord, but these will be real polls where whatever the result is, I will do that. So I'm currently unsure after this big nature update what the next update after that will be. It is currently a toss-up between the cooking update and the blacksmithing update. Cooking update would add tons of new ways to cook food, tons of new foods, different types of meals and stuff like that, nutrition, all sorts of stuff. And the blacksmithing update would revamp, overhaul how blacksmithing works. It would give, like, sharpening tools. It would add new types of weapons, new types of all sorts of cool things, and make sort of that whole process more complicated. Add new blocks, add new all sorts of interesting things. It'll get rid of the anvil tiers and some of that stuff where it's just like progression by resource cost. Going to have a different system that will still be difficult and challenging, but it's going to be more interesting and I think more fun. And I've talked about that in the past, so if you want to look up some of the old posts where I talk about that, you can see what the plan is for that. But yeah, if you are a patron on Patreon, you will get to vote in polls. If I'm not sure if I really want to add a new type of food, you'll be able to vote on whether that gets added, or if you want to vote on, like, for example, in the nature update, there's a ton of new animals I'm going to make and add. If you want to vote on which animals get added first and which animals get released first so that you guys can experience them and play with them, that is something you'll be able to vote on. So it does give you the opportunity to kind of direct what I do in what order of the mod, but because that's about all I can offer. But if you guys want to support me, I would really appreciate that. So I will, once again, the Patreon will be in the description. And thanks for watching, guys. And I hope you enjoy.